Hey there guys, you're here with Bo. Thanks for tuning into another video. Now today we're going to be looking at some news coming out of India here from an article from Business Insider. India slaps the United States with retaliatory tariffs on 28 products, including almonds and apples. Now this comes on the back of this story that broke around about 10 days ago. What Bitcoin ban? Indian central bank denies involvement in crypto ban bill. Both of these things don't seem to be having much impact on the market for Bitcoin in India at all, as we're going to get into in this video. So guys, thanks for tuning in and let's get straight into it. So welcome back to the video, guys. Thank you for tuning in. You are here with Bo Stoner from Cryptocurrency Australia. Now, today's article we've got here from Business Insider. India slaps US with retaliatory tariffs on 28 products, including almonds and apples. Now, for most of you are going to know, there's been a lot of tough trade talk from the United States with most countries, specifically China. There's been a lot going on with China, but the US is being tough on protecting its own economy and looking after its own citizens first, which I actually support. It has been refreshing to see the Trump administration and the United States back its own country first, and by putting its own people first. And I think they're really setting an example for the rest of the world. Now, what we don't hear a lot of is stuff coming out of India, and that's where today's article we're going to get into shows a bit of what is happening with other countries. And then we're going to get into the proposed cryptocurrency ban bill with it that carried insanely long prison sentences for dealing in cryptocurrency, which is just pure insanity. We're going to get into that, and then we're going to get into what Bitcoin is doing in India at the moment. So guys, reading straight into this article. India imposed higher retaliatory tariffs on 28 US products, including almonds, apples, and walnuts on Sunday. The move comes after President Donald Trump scrapped trade privileges for India, the biggest beneficiary of a scheme that allowed duty-free exports of up to $5.6 billion. India is by far the largest buyer of US almonds, paying $543 million for more than half of US almond exports in 2018. India will impose higher retaliatory tariffs on 28 US products, including almonds, apples, and walnuts from Sunday, following Washington's withdrawal of key trade privileges for New Delhi. The new duties take effect from Sunday, a government notification said, in the latest trade row since US President Donald Trump took office in 2017, vowing to act against countries with which Washington has a large trade deficit. From June the 5th, President Trump scrapped trade privileges under the Generalized System of Preferences, GSP, for India, the biggest beneficiary of a scheme that allowed duty-free exports of up to $5.6 billion. India termed that unfortunate and vowed to uphold its national interests. Reuters previously reported India was preparing to levy higher tariffs ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first meeting with Trump on the sidelines of a G20 summit in Japan on June 28th and 29th. The new duties take effect from Sunday, a government notification said, in the latest trade row since US President Donald Trump took office in 2017, vowing to act against countries with which Washington has a large trade deficit. It looks like that was the exact same sentence as what was just up here. It was. That's weird. That's just that's duplicated. Anyway, reading on. India is by far the largest buyer of US almonds, paying $543 million for more than half of US almond exports in 2018, US Department of Agriculture data shows. It is the second largest buyer of US apples, taking $156 million worth in 2018. New Delhi's new rules in areas such as e-commerce and data localization have already angered the United States and hit companies such as Amazon.com, Walmart, MasterCard, and Visa, among others. So really what this looks like is India was getting a free card in terms of a lot of these exports previously, and the Trump administration has said, no, we're not going to allow that anymore. So we can see here that they were benefiting from a scheme that allowed duty-free exports of up to $5.6 billion. So duty-free, essentially, they weren't paying tax on up to $5.6 billion, if I understand that correctly. Now, given President Trump is removing that, to receive tax for those goods. Essentially, what India's doing was that they know they're now going to be out of pocket for a certain amount of money and are going to impose tariffs, essentially to try and recoup some of those funds. Now, getting into kind of the cryptocurrency situation in India, we know that India has been this country that has huge demand there for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. It gets used a lot there. It is one of the perfect breeding grounds for peer-to-peer use of Bitcoins, even more so for the Lightning Network, given the huge amount of population they have. The fact that there are many unbanked in India that don't have bank accounts, the accessibility of internet and the use of mobile devices. So India is really a ripe proving ground for the real use case of Bitcoin, given its demographic and given the conditions, the economic conditions, such as huge amounts of inflation that have plagued the country for the past couple of decades. India is prime for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and thus, from what we've seen the central bank over there really come across as threatened by Bitcoin and has been extremely aggressive in terms of the policies they've enacted in the past 18 months. One being disallowing any national bank, essentially any bank in India, from dealing with any company that touches cryptocurrency. So essentially cutting off the fiat money supply from any crypto business and a bank, basically choking them off. So what the latest is we've got this article here, what Bitcoin ban, Indian central bank denies involvement in crypto ban bill. Now, there was a bill that was put forward recently and that was exposed to be showing that they were looking at actual prison sentences for people that were involved in cryptocurrencies. So what this could be is the central bank really backpedaling on this, given that it was essentially leaked, or it was obtained through, I believe, a Freedom of Information request from a journalist. So let's go through this and try and dissect this a bit. The Reserve Bank of India has denied knowledge of a proposed bill which would see Bitcoin and crypto ownership in India made entirely illegal. Reports surfaced last week that lawmakers in India were working on legislation that could carry a 10-year prison sentence for anyone caught holding cryptocurrency. Amid these reports, the RBI has responded to a right to information request filed on June 4th by a lawyer specialising in blockchain matters. The bank states that it was not in communication with governmental agencies during the legislative process and had not received a copy of the bill. I find that very, very, very hard to believe. And then we've got a tweet here from CCM Markets, who I think were the first ones to break this story. News flash. India's insane anti-crypto bill proposes 10-year prison sentence for Bitcoin adopters. Reading on. Bitcoin and blockchain regulation in India has had a rocky ride, with threats of bans being interspersed with different governmental initiatives, as well as regulatory sandbox from the RBI. Although the RBI denies knowledge or involvement in the bill, it does not necessitate that the reports are untrue. However, it is worth noting the high level of participation from the RBI in previous crypto matters. And in fact, guys, it was the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, that imposed the initial ban, essentially telling any bank that was governed by the RBI, which is every bank in India, that they could not deal with any business touching crypto assets. So that is exchanges, that are startups, decentralized applications. I mean, it really just cut the industry off immediately. It didn't make it illegal for people to hold and use Bitcoin themselves, but any businesses that were perhaps liquidating some of their profits that might have been in cryptocurrency and then needing to deposit that into a bank, they were the ones that were immediately cut off. So reading on. Harsh anti-crypto bill. The proposed bill outlines harsh punishment for those involved in any way with cryptocurrencies. The banning of cryptocurrency and regulation of official digital currency bill says offenders would be subject to non-bailable sentences, according to the draft bill sourced by Bloomberg Quint. It also adds that the degree of punishment would be appropriate to the user's cryptocurrency portfolio. The harsh nature continues when the bill states fines levied by the courts would be 3 times as much as the profit the individual made from crypto in the first place. I mean, honestly, this is so ridiculous. It's hard to even have words for it. noting that this bill is draft and the fact that the RBI is trying to wipe their hands of it and walk away as if they've had nothing to do with it, tells me that this is probably not going to go ahead. So to see that reaction from a central bank knows that this isn't going to go ahead because they know that the pushback is going to be so severe. It would just be too hard to get through. That would be my thinking process anyway. But I mean, it really just shows how threatened they are that they can't allow Bitcoin to at least coexist with the rupee, with their existing currency. I mean, to me, it shows a high degree of threat, that they are threatened by Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and they just don't know what to do. But in nearly all cases, being heavy-handed like that is not the way to go. Absolutely not the way to go. But anyway, on the positive note, despite these things happening, despite this proposed Bitcoin ban, despite this economic turmoil with these tariffs being imposed on US products, Bitcoin is hitting all-time highs in terms of local Bitcoin's trading volume. So we hit a peak back here. This was in December 2017, which, you know, there were peaks around the world during that time. But since then, we've still had a continual growth in local Bitcoin's trading volume. And as you can see here, if we take away this peak here, which is an outlier anyway, we're getting into all-time high territory. So this is the amazing thing about Bitcoin and platforms like Local Bitcoins and Paxful and other peer-to-peer trading platforms, that despite what the governments do with exchanges and regulation, that these websites still allow people to buy and sell and trade Bitcoin. So this is amazing to see, and it's the same as Venezuela, it's the same as Colombia, it's the same as Argentina, all these countries that when the economic conditions start getting worse and worse, actually, I'll just move this over. Oh, no, you guys can't see that. Despite when the conditions get worse and worse, the trading volumes just go up and up. It actually has the opposite effect to what I believe to what the governments actually think is going to happen, which is just fascinating. But anyway, guys, that's it for the video. That's the update on what is happening with India and the economy. If you liked the video, the likes are always really appreciated. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to come on board, press subscribe, make sure to press the little bell notification button. Otherwise, YouTube won't notify you of new videos coming out. I'm trying to work on daily content, as it's just a lot easier for me to make content these days. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought. I always appreciate hearing insights and opinions from you guys. And look, thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching it. My name's Bo, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.